Hello judges, my name is Abhiram Atipudi. This is Ankita Sushma. We are graduate students pursuing our masters in energy engineering, and we are here today to give you our proposal on SolXtract powered by coffee. So before I jump into the presentation, I would like to highlight the motivation for this particular project. The first being our obligation as renewable energy practitioners, and this particular project has been my passion since my childhood, and our dream to become entrepreneurs is the fueling agent for this particular project. Okay, let's jump into the problem. So judges, have you ever wondered how many coffee drinkers are there in the United States and how many cups of coffee they consume in a single day on an average? Let me tell you. There are about 100 million coffee drinkers in the United States consuming 3.1 cups of coffee on an average per day.
Wow.
And
I thought it was above average. I guess it just happened.
but the extraction yield of coffee is just 20%. So coffee manufacturers and individual coffee franchisees have a tremendous problem of how to get rid of the spent coffee grounds after brewing. So in the end, they spend a lot of money paying waste management companies for them to clear the trash on behalf of the coffee manufacturers. The waste management companies in turn take these spent coffee grounds and dump it in landfills. Coffee grounds being organic products, they decompose to release methane gas, which is one of the major constituents for global warming. It is estimated that 2.48 billion pounds of coffee gets dumped into landfills in the United States alone per year. So what is the opportunity that we're talking about? So as discussed in the problem earlier, the conventional disposal method of spent coffee grounds, along with the expenditure the coffee manufacturers and the individual coffee franchisees pay the waste management companies in order to get the waste taken out from their facility. So if these two opportunities can be tackled, it can be a good opportunity for us. Laboratory tests has shown that spent coffee grounds contain about 12 to 15% of oil by weight. So if 2.48 billion pounds of coffee is used to extract oil, it could give out 317 million gallons of oil. Just an illustration. And the American School Bus Council estimates that per year, each bus uses 1,700 gallons of fuel. So 317 million gallons of fuel could potentially power 184,000 buses out of the total 480,000, that is nearly a third of the buses. It's a good opportunity. So jumping to the competitor analysis, this particular project has various categories of competitors. They're not actual competitors per se. So the first one being research institutes and universities. For example, Lancaster University at the United Kingdom is working on an alternate method to extract oil from spent coffee grounds using methane and a catalyst instead of the conventional hexane. Next, we have Starbucks, who's running a Grounds for Your Garden initiative where spent coffee grounds are distributed free of cost to customers for them to use it in their gardens. Third, food and beverage giant Nestle directly uses spent coffee grounds to fuel their furnaces for their heating needs. But as of 2017, there is no organization in the United States who's working on a commercial scale in converting spent coffee grounds into useful resource. So this is where we plan to jump in. And what is the solution SolXtract is suggesting? So we suggest the adoption of a simple yet effective chemical process called solvent oil extraction. In this process, spent coffee grounds is chemically treated with hexane. Hexane absorbs the oil present in the spent coffee grounds, and oil is then separated from the hexane using SolXtract distillation. What happens to the oil and the spent coffee grounds after the oil extraction? The oil can be used in the synthesis of biodiesel, and the spent coffee grounds can be processed into pellets and briquettes. Studies have shown that the oil extracted from spent coffee grounds is a good additive for biodiesel, and the calorific value for the pellets and the briquettes is higher than that of wood, proving it to be a good replacement. So, if we were to win the difference maker, how do we plan to utilize our resources? So here is the breakdown of the expenditure. So the first step we would like to take is to rent a prototyping lab space and a desk space at UMass Lowell Innovation Hub. Then we would like to procure some laboratory equipment to start off with the prototyping. And once we have the prototyping samples ready, we would like to send it to oil testing. And finally, since it's our dream to start off a company of our own, we would like to utilize some of the resources in starting a company. So the total expenditure comes up to about $7,000 US. Thank you. I would like to end my presentation by saying, let's not just get powered by coffee, let's power the world too. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'm curious about the amount of energy that it takes to extract the oils from the grounds. So that
What's the net carbon footprint?
so you've got to collect the grounds, get them to a central place, extract the oils, and then do something with that. Have you gone through that chain?
Yeah. So as you suggested, collection of these spent coffee grounds is the major challenge. So, but these spent coffee grounds can be collected from two different parts. The first one being major coffee manufacturers, where they end up with huge amounts of spent coffee grounds, on a daily basis. So the best solution would be to send out a huge truck for them to collect, huge quantities of spent coffee grounds. The next step would be to, try to tap on the spent coffee grounds that comes out of individual coffee franchises. So our suggestion there would be to hire a small truck which has a pre-dictated route which it takes throughout the town or the city, collecting spent coffee grounds in biodegradable bags that we would have already provided to the shops. And once it completes the entire route, it can meet the bigger truck that runs only on the interstate highways and tries to transfer the spent coffee grounds from the smaller ones to the bigger ones, and the bigger ones come to the factory.
Okay. So is the extraction process something that's, let's say, is that a big plant thing, or is that something you could do locally?
Yes, this particular project is definitely scalable. So the size of the plants, they vary from 5 tons per day to about 150 tons per day. That is if you look at it in a completely commercial manner, that is trying to procure materials in for a commercial type setup. But we have laboratory equipments which can support capacity of up to 5,000 milliliters. So if you want to run it in a very big laboratory scale, it is possible as well.
But you can't run it local like in a mobile scale.
Running it in a mobile scale is pretty difficult for the only reason that we use hexane, and that being a hydrocarbon, it comes with a lot of rules and regulations from the US government.
So have you connected at all with any of the local companies in this area that do similar extraction, for finding, the active ingredients out of big bulk materials? I mean, there are some in the area. Have you connected with any of them to kind of get a sense of how, because maybe you could leverage a company that already does various types of extractions, add maybe a new process, and and that component of it is already kind of commercialized.
Okay, let me tell you, in the motivation, I told you that this project was a passion for me. So let me tell you how that actually became a passion. So this idea that I want to take into action is actually by my grandfather. So my grandfather is running the same system in India right now, but he's doing it using coffee, a little rare, because the amount of spent coffee grounds he can procure at a time in India is less when compared to that of the United States. We don't drink so much coffee. So, but they do solvent oil extraction for a rice bran, for groundnuts, and for sunflower. So it is up and running.
Okay.
So that is where I got the motivation, and he was the one who suggested, that when he tried doing his experiments and when he started reading research papers, that is when he actually got to know that yes, there is potential in this. And I happened to do this in my 8th grade in school. I did a laboratory setup during a science fair, and the idea has carried on since then.
And how much of you time have you put into or assessing the value of the extracted oil as well as the byproduct of the pellets? I mean, because there's value in the pellet, the resellability of the
Correct.
pellet. Have you kind of thought through that?
Yes, I did some research online, but to be honest, I did not get an accurate value. But I got some figures saying biodiesel with some bio additives. The market price for the biodiesel is on par with the regular gasoline or diesel.
Okay.
So, since the oil being just an additive for biodiesel, it would sell at the same price once it is processed into biofuel from the oil. The pellets or the briquettes, the price online that the quote that I got was $225 for a ton. So that is the quote that I got. So I'm not sure about how authentic it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, because I'll say, when you went to the bus equivalency of, what was that, 317 gallons?
million
would
gallons
cover
of fuel.
A third of the buses in the
Yeah.
United States. There's two ways to look at it. That's a big number. In some ways I look at it, that's a small number, right? Because it's only a third of the bus. Like you said,
Mhm.
all the buses for the next 10 years, okay, then you got my interest. So I think the economics will, obviously it's a passion, but I think the economics will, you want to spell that out better to kind of follow that. Because when I heard the 1/3 of the buses, I thought the other thing, like, oh, doesn't seem like a big market to me.
But the market is going to remain consistent, if not increase,
Right.
because the coffee market in America has been increasing by 8% every year.
Yeah.
So it's just that the company's projections might just go up, but in the near future, it would not come down, because it's just going to be 1/3 of the buses every year. But as and when it again depends on the market. When the production, when the consumption starts to increase, our production also starts to increase.
You might just give another example, because from an optics point of view, right, you're trying to show it's a big market.
Mhm.
And just my personal thing, I saw it as not as big as you presented it. So you
Okay.
might want to do some, I'm not saying, it's a great idea, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, from an optics perspective or presentation,
Mhm.
it all depends on the receiver, right? So I'm giving you feedback like, oh, like that doesn't seem that big to me.
You
So-
want to look at the biodiesel market, right? At the end of the day, right, that is what you're gonna be looking at. So maybe looking at the analysis of corn, biodiesel market analysis that you could, there's plenty of it online.
Mhm.
My concern is that, a lot of this ends up in the anaerobic digestion world, in the digesters that you'll have to somehow figure how to segregate. The other thing you may want to look at, in the state of Massachusetts, there are probably 12 new digester companies that are taking food waste, which include the coffee. I would go to the state site, I would look at those are all up and running, to get an idea what those plants will cost you. They're quite expensive, but it's a good reference point.
Anaerobic digestion plants are expensive. The hexane oil extraction, pretty cheap process by comparison.
Okay.
How much does it cost for you to buy used coffee grounds?
So to buy used coffee grounds, in reality, the coffee manufacturers and the individual franchisees, they end up paying waste management companies to take away the waste. So here's where we can come in. So you pay him $10 for 100 pounds. I'll do it to you for $6 or $7 for 100 pounds. So it is profitable for that particular franchisee or the facility. Also, when we try to market our product, we highlight them as being a partner for this particular venture. So everybody today wants to be associated with the term "Go Green." So it's actually a good incentive for them, and it also is a feel-good concept where they feel yes, I am actually doing something for this world, so I am actually a part of it. So it works in that way.
So the 370 million gallons of oil would become, it would be, I think you said, used as an additive to create
Yes.
biodiesel. How much do you think the value of that oil is, and or compared to a current gallon of biodiesel, what would it cost to have that gallon of biodiesel?
Yeah.
Okay, the price point for that I'm not exactly sure,
Okay.
but just the oil alone, if it is sold in mass for just for biodiesel applications, the price of the oil comes a little over $1. And but the other thing is the oil that we get from the coffee has good mineral value. It has high amounts of vitamin C, vitamin D, and antioxidants as well. So another area which we could try to explore would be, the cosmetology area, where you come up with basic products for, coffee oil. Actually, if you have if you can just type in coffee oil on YouTube, you get 100 videos where they say that coffee oil is a very good agent where it helps you remove dark circles, and since it's good in antioxidants, it slows down the aging process and things like that. So
That's your market.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
That's so much more sellable, I think, than biodiesel fuel.
true.
It seems, because cosmetics, the beauty industry, man,
Well,
people
that-
spend a fortune on it.
Yeah, they spend a fortune, and there's a big, I think that there's a big shift towards more
Organics.
organics, yeah. And,
Yeah, what you said is true, but the only reason I started, my presentation was more oriented towards biodiesel and manufacturing of pellets and briquettes was for the only reason that it is very, very tough to establish oneself in the cosmetic world today because there are huge players already. So my
Yeah.
idea was, if I go into the biodiesel market and the pellets and the briquettes market, try to get some revenue to the organization, then set up a lab and try to conduct some research on what you want to do, and then maybe hire some YouTubers to have your product, advertised, where they give you the reviews and things like that, because today it's all about YouTube, Instagram, and all those things.
Yeah.
So have people advertise your markets there, because a YouTuber has about 4 to 5 million followers. So capture even 10 to 20% from each of the YouTuber, so it's going to create a good revenue, and then maybe slightly scale up your products, create a different category of products, different varieties of products. So the reason for coming up with biodiesel and the fuel route was to just get some revenue into the company, because without revenue the company dies.
Your path to revenue is pretty quick, because any biodiesel company actually is starved for base oils to make biodiesel. So
Right.
you have customers, 40 miles up the road, you have the largest pellet producer in the Northeast that is starved for wood chippings and things to make their pellets. So I think selling the raw, like just the base case,
Right.
you can be profitable. But and we've talked about this. I 1000% agree. It's the money's to be made in the nutraceutical / cosmetics industry. Like,
L'Oreal.
yeah, that's your real customer in
Biggest
the
in the
end.
world, yeah.
And I mean, I've told the story. Abraham came to my office. And I told him the story about all my friends who were in the algae biodiesel market, and none of them make biodiesel anymore. They all make nutraceuticals because they can sell it for $100
That's
a
right.
gallon, not $1 a gallon.
Yeah.
that's right.
I happened to visit Sephora this
Yeah.
weekend, so I had no clue. So I asked my teammate to take me over there. So once we went there, she told me, "You want to check out the, just the organic section?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Sure." So we went there. So the first brand that which I saw was by the name Tata Harper.
Yep.
So just a serum alone, which is just 30 ml, cost $80. So that's when
I'm telling you, that's
that's
Yeah.
when I
That's good.
realized, oh my God.
That's
Either
what
did
this
she
is.
buy, did he buy you something?
Well, any more questions?
No, I think that was a big piece missing from your pitch.
Okay.
If you pitched like, I think I could get into the biodiesel to generate revenue, but the lion's share of the long play is kind of the cosmetics or the beauty industry. I think
Yeah,
that
to show a progression.
Right.
Okay.
that would
That
have,
this is, and why you wanna start here and then eventually
Right.
go here, because I think your answer, is totally legitimate.
Yeah.
You need to make some
Right.
money and, low cost of
Right.
entry, right, but show your vision for where you wanna take.
but in the fuel thing, people will buy whatever the cheapest fuel is.
Correct.
In cosmetics, people will almost
buy
buy
only the most
only the
expensive.
most expensive, right? And so right? So it's an entirely different paradigm thing. So I think that's an important slice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Nice
good
job.
job.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
guys.